So we're out and about getting, well, we're starting putting supers on now, and I thought it'd be a bit of fun to chat while I was driving, because I get to see everything and chat to you at the same time. Just been to an apiary where it was a typical apiary, but it was more advanced than I thought, and we've got about 20 colonies there. So in that 20 colonies we've had 3 that were weak, but they had a queen, so they'll recover, but they won't recover before the summer. But I can't give them a frame of brood from another colony to boost them, because the brood is on 3 separate frames, but not big enough. So they've got to wait, but they'll grow. And then, so that was three colonies that were down. One was a dead out. I thought was alive, but had actually died out since I saw it last. The rest were all good, and the rest were so strong. I was so surprised that there wasn't more queen cells in them, which is brilliant. So I had one that had queen cells that one had hatched. So I went through the colony, shook it through an excluder, spent a lot of time, wasted time, when I shouldn't have done. But I couldn't find the queen, so I removed all the cells, and then I saw a virgin in there. So I've just left that one virgin. What can you do? But overall, that was really good. We put on about 14 supers, and they're all really strong, and there's no sign of any queen cells in the ones that were really strong. So that's 14 colonies that will give me honey in one apiary. So I've got about about 11 apiaries to do, so I'm looking at over 120 supers going out if they're all like that. It'll be something like that, and that's just the first super. So we've got the oilseed rape coming into complete full flower, and we always try and go for the last 2 to 3 weeks of the oilseed rape here. This year it's 2 weeks early, like everybody else. You saw in my last video we've got bees in the supers, and bees in the feeders where we had feeders on, thank goodness, because it's given us more space. And to be honest, I might leave the feeders on next winter, and it might help me a bit. It might be a lesson I've learned there. But overall, it's been good. I also was lucky enough to have my local bee inspector help me do some mite inspections. And we did one apiary where we did sample 10 colonies. And over that 10 colonies, we had about 3 that were 0 mites, about 4 that were 2 to 3 mites, and another 3 that were between 6 and 8 mites, which is not good. But overall, because this is the first year I've been using Amatrazole last year, I think the results are encouraging, because it just proves you get your mite levels right down early as possible. So I'll be doing the same this year, but I will be getting my mite treatment on even earlier this July. I'll be trying to do a harvest in July this year. As soon as the honey is cured enough, I'll get that off and get the mite treatment on, and then I'll be doing oxalic acid in the autumn and the winter. It's a really interesting thing when you actually get someone who knows a lot about mites, and they do the sugar shakes with you and they do the alcohol wash with you. It really, really helps you come to terms with the fact that this is a big problem and you've got to deal with it. You know, you can't ignore mites. They're always going to be there. We can just hope we can work towards breeding bees that are more resistant, and obviously the big debate is when that will come. And obviously things like Arista Bee Research are doing fantastic work on breeding mite resistant bees, but unfortunately we haven't got mite resistant bees here yet, but it's ongoing. So we've got to hopefully look at helping that, getting involved in that where we can, and mite testing ourselves. But it's all positive. So I'm just going back to the workshop now to load up some more supers, because everywhere has had its first annual check now, and the frames I put in last week have all been drawn out, so I'm basically cooking on time. I need to get these bees in. I need to get these supers on, and I need to get... Time is ticking away. I just can't believe it. We are suddenly into a full honey supers going on, and we are basically working our socks off. So I'll show you some pictures, And you can see how oilseed rape is doing, but it's pretty impressionable at the moment. Looks beautiful. So anyway, there you go, a little update on what's going on, but it's just full on. I've just pulled up at the workshop to get some more equipment, take some frames off, blah, 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 blah. It's just literally taking boxes off, putting them on this time of year. But I can't complain, things are good. So as I'm here and the truck is loaded, I thought I'd show you what I keep on my truck when I'm doing my general first inspections and trips around. This time of year, and especially this year, I always carry a nuke. An old one with some frames in, and it's got some honey in that one as well, so if I get a swarm, which I found the other day, it's always useful to have one. Spare frames, partitions, a spare hive. These are all the frames we have made up. These are our dad-on frames, ready made up. We carry them in boxes. The cauliflower crates, it takes 10 at a time. You stack them in perfectly. It's absolutely brilliant. And obviously the same box takes our partitions. So these are partitions that have just come out of hives, and they're going to go back into storage for a while. Some will be repainted, some will be repaired. A couple are eaten badly by some bees, you can see that, but that's nothing major. That's just the way it is. They're only cheap to make. But you see, you need a truck that's pretty adaptable, and one that you don't reverse into trees with. I did just this afternoon, which really annoyed me. So there you go, that's life. Be a bit more careful. I was trying to make a ramp up into an apiary that was a bit muddy, the one I've just been to, and there you go, I hit the tree. Unfortunately, trees don't move very much. So what else do I keep? One thing I find is really handful is my bucket of bleach. I've got a bucket of bleach that I keep all my hive tools in, and I regularly change the bleach. It's not the answer to everything, but it helps keep your hive tools clean. And obviously it wouldn't kill the spores of foul brood, but it would get most of them off your hive tool and into a bucket. I think if there's spores on their own, it probably would do something to them. But anyway, that's what I do, and it keeps your hive tools really shiny and clean. So I've always got a spare one on there as well. You just got to remember to put the lid on, because otherwise things fly off the back of the truck. And the best thing of all I've ever bought was this. Having some water with you to wash your hands. There's nothing worse than having sticky hands when you're beekeeping, I tell you. And smoker fuel, obviously, I use wood shavings from when we do woodwork in the winter, and when that's lit, I use these granules, wood granules. But you can use sheep pellets. You can use anything you want. You can use, you know, seed heads or bobs off, whatever you want. I mean, but for me, I use that because it's what I buy a bag of those granules. And the thing about these granules is they're really slow burning, and once you get it lit, the smoker stays lit for ages. Look, there we go, look, still lit now. Look, so I mean, you know, the classic look, puffing the smoker. There you go. So that's what my truck looks like. I need really to take off these frames, because now I need more frames back at home in my cell building yard. So I'm going to put them back at my store at home, where I do my cell building. So most of those will go back, and I'll probably come back and get another load tonight, because I've got a lot of supers to put on right out the other side tomorrow. So the whole thing with beekeeping is you have to be organised. And if you don't have things ready to use and things to put into place at the time you need them, like now I need frames, now I need supers, you've got to grab them. Within a week, if we didn't get them on, swarm cells start, swarm preparation start, bang, it's gone. You've lost a lot of your colonies. And this time of year, it's a disaster, because you need them to make nukes in about a month's time. You need them to make your honey, and you need them for your summer honey. So it's pretty critical you get the work in at the right time. I've never ever understood until now how precise you have to be with your movements. 1 minute the colonies are in winter and nothing's happening. This year, the next minute, we're into full-on spring with everything just booming, and bees starting to get so strong, and so much honey that is in the colonies, because we've got loads of flowers come out, but also we've got a lot of residual honey in the colonies from last year. So that has actually made the colonies full before we even started adding nectar to it. So they're almost got too much, and they're almost blocked. So we think this spring could be a pretty bad year for swarming. We don't know, but it's looking like that way at the moment. So it's imperative you get in your colonies now and get them sorted out. Otherwise, they're just going to swarm with hardly any bees, you know. So, but anyway, that's a bit of an overview of what I do and what we're doing at the moment. So we're just plodding along. The next week will be like this. But in a week, we all up straight again, because I've got all my apiaries done. They're all tidy. They've had their first frames in, they've had space. Now we're putting the supers on. After that, we've just got to wait and just monitor what happens, and we hope we get some decent weather, because the last week has been pretty atrocious, a lot of wind and rain, but the rain has been welcome, because we've had about 32 mil now, so it's helped. We were really dry. But the cherries are out in flower, just starting the wild cherries, and things are looking good. This is a pretty typical field. We've got the main head is in full bloom now, but you can see there's loads of flowers and buds coming from underneath. I mean, there's just tons of it around. You can look at there's field over there, field over there, field behind. This is just typical of Brittany at the moment. There's so much food. There's the cherries in the distance there. You can see behind there, and that's just classic what we've got at the moment. So there's so much food. We just hope we get good weather. And it's rather beautiful to look at though, you can't deny that. It's absolutely a fantastic display. So that's all for now. Catch you again soon. Bye for now.